All right, we get another day with Andrea for 3-minute takeaway. Yesterday's was so good. I'm excited for today's, so let's see. And I didn't give her a whole lot of context, but she hit the ball out of the park. Let's go. Let's pick another one.
Very encouraging race, so I will play the game.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Ooh, lead by principles, not pressure. Okay.
Ooh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I think that leadership, so I guess I'll start with what I think this is not. I think that the weakest form of leadership is leading by fear.
Okay.
So there is a way to make people feel bad. There's a way to intimidate, and that is a form of leadership, and it's not something that I want. So I would rather people know what the standard is that we want to get to, and what the passion is behind it, and why we do what we do. So something that we do at the store is we'll do an onboarding session before every employee starts, and we'll sit down with them, and I'll say at some point, I'll say some of the things that we're gonna do are gonna seem like really particular, maybe even too particular. But here's why we do it, because we want to be a little bit better than anywhere else that you can go to buy your shoes. And so we kind of painstakingly go through and say, this is how you put the paper in the box over the shoes. But here's why it's important, because it's presentation and it's the way that it makes a person feel when they sit down in my store. And so I think if the principle is that we're leading with excellence and we're taking care of people and we're pointing back to our core values of helping people move forward, that sticks way more than me just coming to you and saying, you have to do it this way. And if you don't, you're gonna get, X, Y, Z. So that, I agree with that. We try to live by it, try to lead by principles and not pressure.
Yeah, I love that. I think that explaining the why to the person, whether they're an employee or a leader in the organization, when you explain the why, it increases their buy-in. But to your point there, it also aligns with the standard. When you don't have a standard, maybe that's you don't have a standard, it's hard to align there, and then you have to put pressure to make things happen.
Yes.
And so I think what you're saying here that I'm picking up is that when you set up that standard and you explain the why, it really pulls them in to the culture you talked about, instead of having to push them along the entire time.
That's right.
Now, any quick thoughts, since we have a minute left, on things you do to cast vision around the standard to your team? Anything, especially people who've been there for a while. So you have the orientation on the front end, but what if they've been in the organization for a little while? How are you reinforcing that standard?
So one thing that we've started doing more of this year too is just not just a 30 or a 60-day check-in, but a 90-day check-in too. So we're trying to have more sit-downs with people, especially early on, have more of those touch points. But then something else that we do is we'll do an end-of-year survey. And so I'll reach out to my team and say, what do you think we're doing really good? What do you think that we could do better? And how can we help? So it's several questions that kind of point back to those things. I want my team to feel really respected. I want them to understand that I know that they're working the floor and seeing things that I don't always see. And so that allows me to get that vantage point.
So we're going to go a little longer. That's the timer. We're going to go a little longer because I just want to follow up on that. So you've installed a feedback loop, right, for your team, so that they feel seen, heard, cared for, even after their first month being there.
Yes.
Because I think it's really easy, and you know this in running an organization, to really put it on in the front end of everything, right? Make them feel like they're so special the first month, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, nobody ever feels that way again. Right. We always say we're going to do reviews, but we don't do reviews. And so I love how you guys have installed that process to do multiple check-ins to get the feedback. Well, there you go. I would say how much touch points, how many touch points do you have in your organization? Because Point 2 Running has a number to get that feedback loop going. Hope that helped you on today's 3.5 minute takeaway. I'll see you tomorrow.